the German Ausbildung, the apprenticeship, or the German dual system is international, very well known and popular. But what's behind that, and is an apprenticeship maybe something you could consider on your move or on your way to Germany? Everything you need to know about the apprenticeship and Ausbildung we will discuss in this video. Enjoy it! Hallo und herzlich willkommen to My Road to Germany, the channel you should subscribe when you want to move, study, work and live here in Germany. My name is Sebastian, and in this video we will speak about the German apprenticeship. So we will discuss whether this is maybe something for you, if it's something that you should consider to do if you're thinking about to move to Germany, or if you're already here and you're studying or you're working, at least you should know what's a German apprenticeship, because that's something that really defines the German economics and that is really important to know. And to give you a little better understanding, I structured this video into different parts. But before we are starting, I would also like to recommend you to also follow us on Instagram. There we also have a channel where we are posting weekly and daily informations about your way to Germany. But let's start with the first point. And the first point is, what is a German apprenticeship, or so-called Ausbildung? And basically, the German apprenticeship is a transition between school and education and the workplace. So on German apprenticeship, you normally have a company that you're working in, that you're working with together. You have a contract, a so-called Ausbildungs or apprenticeship contract with that company. And on the other side, you have a state-financed school that on the one side teaches you general topics, but also specific topics like theoretical background that you are able to do your job where you are learning, where you're doing your apprenticeship in, as best or as good as possible. So when you're doing an apprenticeship, you basically learn on the job. So you are really working there, you're working there full time, and about 70% of your apprenticeship normally you spend in the company that you choose and that you have a contract with. And on the other side, you spend like 30% of your time in school, as I told you, where you get theoretical background, where you also write exams and so on. And this brings us to the second point, and this is the difference to your country or to other countries. Because if we are comparing the German apprenticeship to other countries, I think it gets more clear what's really behind it. So in generally spoken, after you finished your school, you have different opportunities or different things you can do. You can go to study on a university, you can start directly working somewhere without any additional qualification, what is of course probably not so recommendable. And in Germany, the most popular other way is to do an apprenticeship. And the first thing where I really see a difference to most other countries is this dual system. So in many other countries, as I know so far, you are making a school education, like a technical career, for example. You learn how to do your job in the school, theoretically, 2 years more, or within your school career already you focus on that path. And after that, you can apply to work in a company. But so you just have theoretical background. And the German apprenticeship really combines both. So you're already working, you're learning on the job, while you also get the theoretical background in the school. So this is basically one of the biggest differences to many other countries. Even we also have those school apprenticeship where you just learn, we call it schulische Ausbildung, and you don't have the dual system, but the other one is way more popular here. And the really good thing with it is that you get a qualification standard, because everyone knows that you had to pass those schools, those exams. It's controlled by the state. So within that, you ensure the quality of your apprenticeship. And on the other side, you get a really good skill to market fit, because the company really trains you on the things that you really need to do in your daily life and not only about theoretical background. So it's a really good combination that ensures quality and that brings you work experience and their skill to market fit. I would call it like this. Another big difference is the amount of apprenticeships that you can do in Germany, because there are more than 300 different areas or jobs in which you can do an apprenticeship. And I know that in many other countries, this is not the case, because In many other countries, apprenticeship or Ausbildung is most of the times related to technical things or things that you do with your hands. So if you want to be a craftsman, maybe you need to do something, or not even, you just start to work something and you learn it there. And in Germany, normally if you want to be a craftsman, you first do your apprenticeship in craftsman, and then you're getting a craftsman. But it's not only about those jobs where you work with your hands, it's also, you can do your apprenticeship in a bank, for example. You can do your apprenticeship as an event manager. There are many different kind of things, and this is a big difference also to many other countries where most of the things you can just learn in university, or you just go on your job and start there and learn it there. In Germany, you can almost do everything with an apprenticeship. The third difference is the worthiness, or how value an apprenticeship is here in Germany. Because maybe you know it from your country, you can go to study, so then you're high qualified, or you can just start to do your job and you can just start to work. Or maybe you have this technical career where you go 2 years to school and then you start your job, but nothing is compared to your studies. And everyone that can study, or that maybe can also afford to go to study, is going to university. And in Germany, that is definitely not the case. Of course, there are many people that go to university, but I also know many people that have like a high school degree, so they could easily go to university, but they make their apprenticeship and they work, for example, as a craftsman because they like it more to do something more practical instead of just sitting on a bank on a university and learn theoretical things. And there are even people that first do their apprenticeship and then go to study because it gives you a good ground qualification, I would say so, and you can build up with studies after. And I want to make this better understandable on an example, because in Germany it's also valued because many apprenticeship or many jobs are protected by the law. This means if you want to be a hairdresser, for example, you normally first need to do your apprenticeship, which lasts around 3 years, and then you can work as a hairdresser. And if you want to open your own shop, your own hairdressing studio, let's call it like this, you even need to do your Meister, because you can first do an apprenticeship, and it's like with the bachelor and master in studies, you can do your Meister after, which is another additional qualification where you also learn how to run a business. And then you're just allowed to open your own studio. So this means if you go to a hairdressing salon in Germany, you know that at least there is one person that has their Meister, so that learned 4 years in state institutions and on the job, and probably also have even more work experience. So it really ensures the quality. And this also means on the other side that if you don't have any certificate in Germany, it's really difficult for you to find a job, because people will ask for that at least you have an apprenticeship, and this will also show up in your salary, and you will earn more. And that is a really good way also to start your career, or in general to find a job. To also underline this fact, I can say that in 2016 there was an unemployment rate in Germany of around 6%. And people without any apprenticeship or study academic degree, there the unemployment rate was around 20%, while, for example, people with an Ausbildung or apprenticeship, the unemployment rate was just 3.8%. So you have really good chances to qualify yourself on the German job market if you do an Ausbildung or an apprenticeship here. So now we saw what is a German apprenticeship and what is maybe the difference to other countries, so that you're able to understand better what's the value of doing an apprenticeship and what's behind it in general. And now we will look on the requirements. So basically, our third point, we will look and check what are all the things that you need if you want to start an apprenticeship in Germany. And basically, first of all, you need a contract with a company that says, hey, you can do your apprenticeship with us, because that's a thing that maybe I didn't point out until now so clear. You do your apprenticeship within one company. So you're not changing and going to so many companies. Normally, you're doing it with one company that teaches you how to do your job. As I told you, on the other side, you get the theoretical background in the school. And there are no entry barriers from the company side or from the law on the first level. This means a company can give you an apprenticeship. They need to fulfill some little requirements, but that's something you don't really need to know. In general, almost every company can hire you and gives you an apprenticeship. It doesn't matter if it's a company with 5 employees or with 10,000 employees. And also it's not necessary that they ask for specific qualifications. You don't even have to have a school degree. But of course, some companies, as it's the same as if you would apply on a normal job market, some companies ask for 5 years of work experience, or you need to have your master's student's degree. Some others say, if you're a nice guy, if you're a nice girl, you can just join our company and we will teach you how to do the stuff. So there are no entry barriers, but still many people ask for a Hauptschul- or Realschulabschluss. Some even ask for Abitur, but that is less. That you need to fulfill. And this is basically one of the first things. And if you're not sure, if you're probably a foreigner and you don't know if you have an Hauptschulabschluss or Realschulabschluss, that's something you need to do anyway within your visa process that we will speak later. And there's a website called Anabin. I will also link it, or I will put it in the video descriptions, where you can check if your school degree is valued to a Realschul or Hauptschulabschluss. It depends on the years that you spent in school. It depends if it's a state-owned school or not. And that's a process by itself. I can do a video about this if you want. But that's basically a basic criteria that you need to match. But it's just if the company is asking for this specific qualification. And if you're a foreigner and you have your permanent residence in the European Union, or you're a European citizen or a European associated citizen, like if you're from Swiss or from Norway, or there are some other states where you don't need a visa for purpose of doing an apprenticeship here in Germany, you can just come and start here. So for example, Australia, Canada, or United States, you don't need to apply for a visa in your country, but you can just come here and start your apprenticeship, and then you have to apply for residency. But as I could imagine that you're also a non-European citizen, you need to apply for an apprenticeship visa, and now we will speak about which criteria you need to match or you need to fulfill to be able to get one, and where you need to apply. And the first thing you maybe need to know is that you need to apply at the German embassy in your country for the visa. That's basically the starting point. And as I said, one thing is that you need to have translated certified school degree, and you need to go through this process that it's recognized your school degree also in Germany, because companies normally ask for, and you need to have this for your visa process. More about this you can find on Anabin. That's the website where you can check how much your school degree is worth in Germany, or if it's recognized. But yeah, that's a topic for another video because it's a little bit more complex. It depends from where you're coming from to which school you went. So we will speak about this another time. If you're interested, in just let me know. The second is, of course, that you need to have this contract, Ausbildungsvertrag, because you always sign a contract for an Ausbildung or for an apprenticeship with a company or with a school. If you do a school apprenticeship and you don't have a company, but normally you always have a company, and I can also recommend you to do this because I think that's the whole purpose of the system. And so you need to apply for one in the area that you're interested in, you need to get one, and you need to have the signed contract. Third point is that you need to have a German language certificate, which proves that you have at least B1. For some apprenticeships, you need to have B2 as your language levels. And to prove this, but this is just for some specific apprenticeships. In most of the apprenticeships, you just need to prove that you have German language skills on level B1. Another thing is that you need to have your health insurance, but that is like at the end of this process. It's kind of easy. If you're working in Germany, you need to have health insurance, and you need to prove that you're having this, but it is not so difficult. And also you need to prove that you have your accommodation here to get your visa. Another thing is that you need to prove that you are able to finance your costs of living by your own. And you can prove this if you open a block account where you basically put the money that ensures that you have a specific amount of euros per month. I think right now are around 700 euros that you need to have there. Or no, let's say like this, your block account needs to have, I think, at around 10,000 euro. But I would need to check this again. If someone knows, you can write it in the comments and we can discuss there. But there's also another way. If you don't have that much money, please keep in mind that you also earn money in your apprenticeship. There is a minimum that you earn per month. It's, I think, like around 500 euro, but it depends on the industry, on the company, how much you earn. And normally you earn more and more per year. So in your first year of your apprenticeship, maybe 500, then 650, and in the last year, 800. But there are also companies where you can earn within your apprenticeship already 1,200 euro per month at the end. And this is also a proof that you are able to finance yourself. So this can be also enough and you don't need this block account. It depends on your contract. And the third option is that you ask someone else, probably or normally a German citizen, to prove that in case you're not able to finance yourself anymore, he or she will finance you. So for example, if you have a German partner or an uncle or I don't know, a husband, then he or she can prove that she will take care of you in case you are not able to pay for your own food or stuff like this. That's another thing. And the last thing that needs to be mentioned here is that you need an approval of the Federal Employment Agency or Bundesagentur für Arbeit in German. And that's basically not that cool, but you don't need to do so much there. They will just check it. We will discuss about this after, because there's a law that says they first need to check if in the area where you want to do your apprenticeship or in the company or in the region even, if there is also a German or a European citizen that could do this apprenticeship. And if they could do this, or if someone else applied, then the company normally needs to choose a European citizen first. So I found this at least a little bit discriminative, but I think that's almost in every country the case, that first they are taking their own people and they just take the really high qualified people or people that want to do an apprenticeship in an area where it's difficult to find people, or in an industry where you are really looking for people to do their apprenticeship there because they're just not enough. But we will speak about this later on. Another option for you regarding the visa is that you could maybe come here for your job, or let's say apprenticeship seeker visa, because there was a change in law in 2020 that enables you to come here for 6 to 9 months. It depends if you want to study or you do your apprenticeship, to be able to search for your apprenticeship here in Germany. There you need to have some more criteria, or you need to match a certain criteria. If you want to know more about this, please let me know and I will make a video about it, because that's also a good chance to find an apprenticeship, because it might be a little bit more difficult to get one from abroad than if you're already here. You can speak directly to people and it's always a little bit easier. So now we also saw which criteria you need to match to be able to apply for a visa. We want to come to general conditions of an apprenticeship. And as I already said, basically it's always between 2 and 4 years. Probably in your case, it will be around 3 years. And you are having a contract with a company where you already earn your own money, depending on the industry, the region, and the company. And you're making your apprenticeship, and within that, you normally spend a few weeks always in the company. Then let's say 6 weeks in the company. Then 2 weeks in the school, maybe in the general school. And then 2 weeks in a specific school where you learn things that are really related to your apprenticeship. So it's a mix of going to the job and going to school, but in general, you spend more time on the job than in the school. And there's also another system where you go 4 days per week to work and just 1 day, fixed day, always to school. But This is less common. Most of the times you have those blocks, so 6 weeks in the company, 2 weeks in the school, and so on. What is also important for you is, as I mentioned, it's state regulated, so the Federal Employment Agency also ensures that your conditions under that you work are the same than the conditions for Germans. So it's not that they will pay you less or they will don't pay you because you're a foreigner. This is really ensured by the law and by the Federal Employment Agency. And if a company is not doing so, they are really, really getting big problems. So I think about this, you don't have to take, or you don't need to think about this so much, because this is really a protected area in that way for you. And now you maybe ask yourself, yeah, what should I do with all this information? Should I do an apprenticeship now? You saw that it's valuable in Germany, that's maybe a good thing, but what happens after your apprenticeship? And of course, this is super important, because you probably don't want to do an apprenticeship just because you love it or you like it so much. You probably want to have built, based on this, your future here. And you have really good chances to enter the job market after this kind of smoothly, because most of the guys or the people who do their apprenticeship, they get a job offer, full-time job offer, after they finish their apprenticeship. So at the moment, almost 70% or 2/3, they are continuing to work in the company where they're doing their apprenticeship. And it's not even that the other 30% are not getting a job offer. Some of them also don't want to continue there because they are looking for another company because they didn't like that one so much, or they're going to studies or doing something completely else. So this means you really have really good chances if you're doing a good job, if you're motivated, because the company knows you, they build you up for 3 years, you know the company, you have exactly the skills, hopefully, that they are looking for. So this comes along with very good chances for you to find your job directly in the company where you made your apprenticeship. And I also spoke about the unemployment rate. And basically the nice thing is also that when you have the certificate, you can move within Germany and you can apply in other companies in another region, because it's everywhere the same. It's officially certified, and it ensures that you have this kind of education, practical background from this company, plus the theoretical background from the school. And this is a really nice way for you to get into the German job market. Sixth point is, how are the chances for you to find an apprenticeship in Germany? Because that is probably really important. It's one thing if it's attractive and nice, but the other thing is if you're able to reach it. And that's what we want to discuss about at point 6. And there I have to say that it really depends, because in some industries, in some areas, it's not that easy to find an apprenticeship because maybe everyone wants to do it. In other industries, so for example in healthcare, but also on construction things, in the social working area, it's kind of easy to find an apprenticeship because there are more offers for apprenticeship than there are applicants. So there are every year around 50,000 or more apprenticeship offers or positions that are not filled or occupied. And even the number of apprenticeships decreased a little bit in the time of the global pandemic. There are still many offers. And what should you get out of those information now? It is possible to find an apprenticeship, and you have kind of good chances if you match the criteria and if you're motivated and if you apply for apprenticeships here. And I can recommend you to do the following steps. First, really think about what you want to do, what you're interested in. Then check the apprenticeships. There's an official site that I will also put in the description where you can see all the apprenticeships that you can do in Germany. And then think about which field of interest matches, or your interest should match, of course, to the apprenticeship that you want to do. And then, third point, it shouldn't come first, but of course it's also important, consider where is demand also for foreigners in that way, because as I explained you before, normally the Federal Employment Agency, they need to approve you, and they can just approve you if there's not a German or European citizen that could also do this job. So you need to search for area where companies are really looking for people and not really able to find. And this is, for example, healthcare or social work, but also other positions. But what I want to add with that, it's also if a company hires you, so if they gave you a contract, I think the Federal Employment Agency is not approaching that law too strict. So if you are able to find one, it probably also already means that you're really good, you have a good background and the company wants you. And then it's not so often that a Federal Employment Agency says, hey, it's not possible, look for someone else, because if the company would have maybe so many applicants, they would not give you a job offer or an offer for an apprenticeship. And that's the thing you need to consider. So to sum up, because now we spoke about many different topics and we want to bring them together and answer for you the question if you should do your apprenticeship here in Germany or not. And for that, I can recommend you to think again about what's important for you and what do you want. And if you're still in your home country, if you not have several years of working experience, and if you didn't study in your country or you didn't plan to study in Germany, because maybe you don't have the school degree or you just don't want to go to university, but you want to come to Germany and move over here, I definitely can recommend you to make an apprenticeship, because if you have no other qualification, it's really difficult. And this is really a good step. It gives you a valuable qualification that is certified by the state and which gives you good job offers, also not in short term, but also in long term. We looked at the unemployment rate. So I think that's a good entry for you to the German job market. And that's why I can really recommend you to do one. You also already earn your own money. You get work experience, school background, and that's the biggest advantage of doing an apprenticeship. And I hope with that video I was able to give you a good overview about all the important things that you need to know about an apprenticeship. If you have questions, write it in the comments, ask me and let us discuss about this video. And if you like this video, I would also be happy if you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to not miss any video. Thanks for watching, your Sebastian.